Hey guys, Bobby Hughes here with Heritage Pride Custom Firearms here at the Heritage Pride Urban Homestead, and today we are going to be working on a watering system for our chicken coop, and it's going to be pretty simple, but it does take a little bit of common knowledge about solvents and PVC and things like that. But basically we're going to be building our water system out of PVC pipe, same way we did the feeder system for the pellet feed, and it's basically the same concept except with water. So with the PVC pipe, we really didn't have to glue anything up. You could leave it just dry fit or whatever. With the water system, obviously we have to glue it up, or it'll leak. And so I'm using a combination of just all-purpose PVC cement or glue and silicone, 100% silicone, caulk. And so what I've done is I've got my PVC pipe here. You can purchase it at any hardware store or any big box store, Lowe's, Home Depot, anything like that. And I'm using 4-inch PVC pipe. I've got some connections. You can arrange this thing however it works best in your coop. This is the way that's going to work best in my coop. And basically we're going to have our main trunk line, which is where all of our nipples will be for the chickens to come get a drink of water. And then we'll have a standpipe that's going to serve two purposes: one as an overflow, and two as a heater element insertion point for the winter. Now the heater that I've got is too big to fit inside this 4-inch pipe, so I'm going to have to get another heater. But I'll show you the concept, and you know, you can use it the same way. If you was to use 6-inch pipe, the heater that I have would work. It's just a 1500 watt frost-free heater element for like a water trough or whatever. So anyway, it's going to serve as a standpipe and a heater element insertion point. And then we have another fitting that will run up, and that will be our supply line to feed the system, so that we don't have to go in the coop every day and fill it up with water. So let me bring you in closer and I'll show you what I've done. Alright, so with my 4-inch PVC pipe here, what I've done is I drew me a line across the PVC to keep everything nice and straight in a row. Okay, so just take a ruler or a square or a leveler, whatever you have, and draw a line. Now your fittings will have a center line in them where they're molded. Alright, so you've got that center line in those, so that'll keep your fittings in line. Now down here what I've done is I've drilled holes to receive my nipples. Now the nipples that I got are these little peck nipples, and basically it's like a little valve that sits in there. And so when it's just in the down position, it closes so no water comes out, and the chicken can come up and peck on it, and the water will come out and they can get a drink of water like that. Okay, so that's what we're using. You can get these at Tractor Supply, you know, Farm and Fleet, whatever you've got. I ordered these off Amazon. I got a 25 pack for about $8. So and I got more than what I needed, and that's good, so that if I have one that breaks or something like that, then we can roll with that. So I've drilled a hole to receive, a pilot hole to receive it, and I'm using a 5/16 inch bit. So you just take the 5/16 inch bit, drill your hole, and then these things come pre-threaded. They've got little threads on them, and I just take a little bit of silicone. You want to use 100% silicone caulk, and I take and run a bead around the threads, and it kind of acts as a thread locker. They have little washers on them, but in this round application, that's not going to get a good seal. And then I take and just, you got to put a little bit of force on there because our holes aren't threaded. Now you could go back and use a tap and tap them, but it's really not necessary with this PVC. It'll kind of just pick up and grab on its own. So once you get it started and you feel that it's started, I'm just using a 15mm socket and tightening it down. And I'm not tightening it, I'm just putting it in until I feel it get some resistance. Once you got resistance, go ahead and stop, because if you don't, you'll strip it out or break it. All right, but get it down in there snug, and then just take your finger. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I take my finger, just go right around there and push that silicone up in that gap. And that should give us, once that silicone dries, that'll give us a nice watertight seal, in theory. Alright, so I got 2 more to go. I'm going to go ahead and get these put in here. Same thing, just take our caulk a bead around it, get it started. Sometimes they're a pain to get started, and they might not start perfectly straight. That's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. It'll kind of straighten itself out as you thread it down in there. You got to remember, you're creating your own threads when you run it in there. And so it's not so vital that it's, you know, perfectly straight when it goes in. So like I said, be sure not to torque it down. You don't want to torque it. You'll break it. And it'll also mush all that silicone out from inside of it. You want to keep as much of that silicone in there as you can. Now you could also use this system as well for rabbits. If you have rabbits, you want to build a small scale one, you could use this system for that too. Alright, now this silicone that I'm using is water ready in 30 minutes. Now that means for your typical application in a shower, something like that, then it'll be okay for water in 30 minutes. In our case, water's not just going to run over it. Water's going to be pushing against it constantly. So we're going to let it set up just a little bit longer than 30 minutes. But once we get it built, finished, by the time we get it mounted, get our standpipe put in, and get our other plumbing ran, we should be cured enough that we can go ahead and put some water in it. So our next step here now, let me check the camera, make sure you can see. Our next step is going to be to go ahead and cap this end right here off. So now another option that would be a good option actually, but I didn't buy it, so I'm going to roll with what I got, is to put a clean out here, a threaded clean out. I can show you what a clean out plug is. This is a small scale clean out. This is for 2 inch. This is what our water feed system is going to be, is 2 inches. Clean out is this attachment here, and then you've got a clean out plug. Basically it just threads in there like that. You can put some Teflon around it, thread it in there. That on the end here, you could take that loose every now and then and run a flush of the system through it. Maybe run some bleach through it and clean the system out. The cool thing about this system is that it's going to be a contained water system, so you don't have to worry about the bird crap or about bugs or anything like that getting inside of our system and contaminating the water. And that way it's going to be a lot healthier for our chickens. It's a lot more, not sterile environment, but a lot more sterile environment. So it's a cleaner environment for them. They're not tracking around and pecking into it and all that stuff. So it'll keep all of our water nice and clean for the chickens. But we're going to go ahead and put this cap on there. Like I said, it'd be a good idea if you wanted to put a clean out on the end, and then you could flush the system if you needed to. In my case, I'm not going to be able to do that, but I can flush out my standpipe if I need to, which will be okay. So we're just going to put glue on the pipe there, go ahead and run our cap on and let that dry. So there is the complete line system with all of our nipples in it. And then this is going to be our water feed down here. and then that's going to be our standpipe for our overflow. So at this point, I need to go ahead and go mount this in the coop where I want it, and then we can hook all of our other plumbing up. Alright guys, so we've got our main trunk, and I'm sorry about the sun, it's about the best angle I've got, but we've got our main trunk installed now in the coop, and we've got, this is where our standpipe is going to be right here. Here's our standpipe. So I've got a 16-inch standpipe, and I've just got this cap on here. I don't have it actually glued on. We're not going to glue this one on. So what I've done is I drilled 2 holes in each side. So we'll go ahead and mount our standpiping in just like this. And then we've got the 2 overflow holes. And then we've also got a cap that'll go down on here. And when the cap goes on there, the overflow holes will not be covered up. Alright, and so the reason why we'll leave our cap loose is so when we get our heater in, we can drill our hole in the top of our cap here, and that's where our heater element will drop down. And you can see by looking at it, I've got this kind of centered, pretty close to center on our main trunk line, and that way it'll help heat the water to both sides. If we put the heater on one end or the other, the water down here on the end may freeze, and there's no circulation of water. So with it being still water, we need that to be as close to center as we can get it and still function properly. So our heater will drop down through here, and then this will also allow us to look down in here, inspect our system and things like that. Now another idea or another reason for having the holes in here in your standpipe is for air. Your system will need to breathe in some form. It'll have to breathe, whether it be through a vent or something. You'll have to have some sort of ventilation because it's non-pressurized. So what will happen is like a soda bottle, for instance. When you turn a soda bottle completely upside down to dump it out, it gulps, and the bottle moves back and forth. It constricts, and it expands and contracts, and that's because it can't breathe. It doesn't have any air in there, and the bubble, that gulp, is it breathing. So this will allow the system to breathe to make the water flow better for the nipples down below. So here's our standpipe, overflow vent, whatever you want to call it, and heater insertion point. And then we also have our feed system, or our feed point. So what we're going to do is install this with a bar across here that'll go out to where our feeder is, to where we feed the chickens, where we insert their feed into their feeder system, and it'll stub out right next to it so that we can feed and water them from the same location outside of the run. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these up. Just a safety precaution while you're doing this. Don't leave if you've got nosy chickens, some chickens are skittish. Mine are starting to get used to me now. But if your chickens are a little skittish, it's not a big deal. But like, you see how nosy mine are? My hens these girls are nosy. So we want to try to not drip any glue, because they like to eat anything, like that right there, like I just did. And if you do drip it, be sure and you catch it right away, so they don't go over there and eat it. And keep your glue up off the ground so that they don't try to get your glue. So our standpipe's in. Our cap, we're just going to leave it loose on top of it, just like that. And then we're going to go ahead and glue our feed pipe in. So just looking at it, I'm going to eyeball it and make sure that we're pretty straight going across there, because I know exactly where I want that thing to come out at. I'm going to go ahead and put me a little mark on it so that I know that's pretty straight there. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll go ahead and glue it up as well. Now, I've seen a lot of good systems on YouTube. Done some research and looked at a lot of cool systems that people have made. And there's some out there you can buy a pressure regulator. You can hook your water hose into the pressure regulator. It'll reduce the pressure to 2 pounds. And 2 pounds is sufficient for these nipples not to blow out, basically. Keeps enough pressure just to keep it full, but it doesn't allow it to blow out. So it keeps your system full all the time, and it reduces the pressure, and it just back pressure. You don't have to crack. All you got to do is crack that water valve open on your water hose. It doesn't have to be completely open. You can do that as well. But in my case, I don't want to leave a water hose strung across my backyard all the time. I don't mind to come out here and fill this thing up once or twice a week, whatever it takes. So while we're talking about that, let's talk a little bit about the capacity of your system. For 4-inch pipe, you can hold a gallon of water in about every 18 inches or so. My math, I didn't figure it down to the decimal point, but about every 18 inches of 4-inch PVC pipe, drain waste vent pipe, you can hold a gallon of water. My system is about 6 feet long, and then I've got a 16-inch standpipe, so I figured a foot for the standpipe. There's a little bit more than that. So I've got, I figured a foot for this, and then 6 feet on my main trunk. So my system will hold right at about 5 gallons of water, just shy of 5 gallons of water. So depending on how much capacity you want, if you're thinking about like vacation time or something like that, not being away from your homestead or your farm, that's something to consider as well. Mine, like I said, will hold about 5 gallons. I know my girls drink about a gallon a day, so in theory this should last about 5 days. Now some days they're going to drink more, some days they're going to drink less, but in theory we should get an average of about 5 days out of our water system. So now our cross piece is going to go in here. I'm just going to stick it right out the side of the fence, right next to my feeder. So I'll go ahead and glue it. They're already pecking around on the nipples. They're ready. Alright, so right here's where we feed our chickens. Our feeder insert, we just pop this cap off and fill our pipe up with feed. And then we'll go ahead and glue. What I've got here is just a 45. It's called a street 45. And it's going to go on right here like this. And then I've got our 2-inch clean out. It's going to go on here, and then we've got a threaded plug, and that'll just keep anything from getting down in there, keep it closed up. So now when we get ready to feed them, or to fill our feeder, we can just stick our water hose in here and it'll fill our system up. One thing I didn't mention that is probably pretty important is you want to make sure that your feed tube, if you're running it in the same manner that I did, has a slight slant back toward our water system, because if not, you're going to stick your water hose in here and it's just going to run right back out the other end. So you want it to be, it doesn't have to be drastic, just a little bit of a slant so that it'll run that way and not back towards you. But the 45 on there, if you end up pretty level, the 45 will help it keep from running back out on you. It'll just give it watch out, girl. It'll just give it a little bit of elevation. To keep it from running back out of it. So we can go ahead now and glue our clean out on there. And that'll just thread in there just like that, and you don't even have to tighten that down. Just keep it to where it'll keep the bugs and whatever else from getting in there. Mosquitoes are going to love standing water, so anything to keep the bugs out of there, that'll keep them out. So now all we got to do is let the glue dry for a little bit, and then we can fill it up and test it out. Alright guys, so I got the water system, let it set for a little while, make sure the silicone had time to set up and the glue to dry, all that good stuff. And I didn't bring the water hose over. I just filled up a 5-gallon bucket because I just wanted to see what the capacity was, what it would hold. And before I could even get it full, they figured it out. So I thought that'd be a cool little video to show you, just them figuring it out. There's plenty of nipples on there. How many we got total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 nipples, and we've got 12 hens. So it's important to have enough nipples for them because of the pecking order. You know, certain ones get to drink first, certain ones get to eat first. So with this makes it fair for all of them. They can all get in there and get them something to drink. Do you really need that many? I would say not, probably not. You know, they'll, even with the pecking order, six of them, 8 of them would be plenty for 12 hens. But said, just wanted to show you guys, they've already figured it out and they're already going to town. So anyway, like I said, just been filling it up with a bucket here, and I filled the bucket up, well, almost full. I was probably I don't know, 3/4 full, so probably 4 gallons in there, and I've emptied it and nothing coming out the overflow yet, but I'm about to go in there and check in the standpipe and see what it looks like. But anyway, just wanted to show you guys that was the end result of our watering system. So it's working good, and that's the end goal, to make our chickens happy and healthy, clean water for them to drink, available whenever they want it. Now the only addition to this that we need to make is that heater. It isn't supposed to get cold for a couple days though, down to freezing. It's not supposed to be freezing. So I think we'll be okay as long as we can get some a heater in that thing before too much longer. Because in Tennessee, it typically gets really cold January, February time frame. So definitely want to get the heater in there as soon as possible. But anyway, just wanted to show you guys that. And that's the water system for our chickens. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. Maybe you got some ideas on how you want to set yours up, but having it accessible from outside the run is going to be a huge plus, to not have to go inside the run and disturb them and walk through poop and everything else. So good stuff. So anyway guys, that's it for this video. Until the next video, I hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas and a happy new year if you don't hear from me before then. But if you're not subscribed, or you know, not following HP Firearms and our first time homesteading, backyard, urban gardening and all that good stuff, and our firearms videos, which are coming soon, the gun shop is getting close to being done. So as soon as we can get that finished up, we'll have some good gunsmithing videos coming. I've already got people waiting, and that's good. So anyway guys, like I said, if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing, and check out the other videos that I've got. Everything from guns to canning to backyard gardening and homesteading and all that fun stuff. So anyway guys, till next time, get out there, shoot some guns, be safe, most importantly, have fun. See you guys later.